It's Saturday Night with Esme Murphy.
It is 7:07 in the Twin Cities. Esme Murphy along with producer Susan Blanche on a Saturday evening. Well, we are talking CBDs. Did you hear that Kim Kardashian wanted a CBD shower, baby shower, whatever that is? I don't know how that works. But CBD is a compound that can relieve many medical maladies. It's also something that is found in hemp. I hope I'm saying this correctly. My next guest will be able to correct me if I am wrong. But one thing you may notice, maybe even it's just at your salon, you can see CBD products are just about everywhere. Stephen Brown is the president of the Minnesota Hemp Association. Stephen, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Well, let me ask you, what is happening with CBDs? Why are they suddenly everywhere, from the grocery store to your, as I said, your salon?
Yeah, so, I mean, people are really starting to see CBD working for them. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. You know, for a good example, my fiance, she's a school teacher, and she was suffering from migraines, and the doctors gave her every type of migraine medicine you can think of. Even one stated on the prescription bottle that one of the side effects is sudden death. And so, I mean, she took it. It didn't work very well. We were out in Vegas, and we went to a local dispensary while she was having a migraine, and she tried a certain CBD product. And
this is a marijuana dispensary that you went to?
It was a regular marijuana dispensary, but we got a hemp CBD product called Select. And she ended up taking this Select product, and she put it underneath her tongue, and she took it, and about 15 minutes later, her migraine was gone.
Wow.
And so I also own a series of retail stores called Nothing But Hemp, and we do have a lot of customers that come in and talk about how CBD has really made a big difference in their life, from, you know, anxiety, depression, migraines, and even seizures.
All right. Let's talk about the difference between hemp and marijuana and where CBD fits in.
Absolutely. So here's the interesting thing is that, you know, cannabis is cannabis, right? So cannabis, there's two sides to that plant. You have marijuana, which has high amounts of THC in it, and then you have CBD, which is has very low amounts of THC in it, and gives you different effects. CBD does not get you high. THC does, and that's from the marijuana plant.
Okay.
Now, marijuana,
and hemp is legal here in Minnesota.
Correct. Yes, hemp is legal now in all 50 states. It got federally legal as of December 20th signed by President Trump.
And so that's why, you know, we see all these products. And hemp has a history going back many, many decades, even centuries in this country, doesn't it?
It does, and especially here in the Midwest. We were actually some of the top hemp growers in the country, Minnesota and Wisconsin.
And what was hemp used for in colonial days?
You know, they used it for fiber, for rope, and even at you know, one period of time, Henry Ford invented a vehicle that was ran off of hemp, and even the windows and the frame was made off of this hemp material. And
wow.
It was a phenomenal vehicle. And the tire companies and the oil companies basically gave them a bunch of money not to put that in production. And then, of course, they lobbied, and hemp became illegal. Same thing with marijuana at the time. But
at one point, weren't farmers in some states required to produce a certain amount of hemp?
Yes. There was a point in time when that happened, and that was, you know, in probably the early 20s.
Right. But hemp is now legal, and so you have all these CBD products. I got a gift of a CBD moisturizing lotion for Christmas. Is it the Fountain of Youth?
You know, I wouldn't call it the Fountain of Youth at all. You know, it's interesting. There's a lot of claims out there stating that it can do pretty much everything in the world, and I would be really cautious about that. There's been a lot of studies about the anxiety portion for inflammation and epilepsy, seizures, those type of things. But when I start hearing about all these other remedies, I'd like to see the data on that first.
Okay,
so I would be very cautious on that.
All right, but going back to your fiance that tried the CBD tablet and got immediate relief. I mean, that's, if anybody's ever had, I've only had one migraine, what I believe is a migraine in my life, and it was devastating. I mean, I couldn't move. I never got what people were talking about until this one time that I had it, and I'm not sure why, and I knock on everything that I have not gotten it again, but to get that kind of relief for something that debilitating is a big deal. Is she able to get that here in Minnesota?
Oh, she is. Yep. So she takes.
And where would she get it? Where would you go buy a hemp tablet?
Well, in our case, I own hemp stores throughout the Twin Cities. So I have about 5 stores here. So she gets it typically from me. But there was a long period of time that she would just order it on the web from Select directly.
All right. And what kinds of things do you sell? And what are the names of your hemp stores?
Yep. The name of our hemp store is called Nothing But Hemp. So we have a total of 5 stores, one on Grand Avenue, another one in Uptown, Forest Lake, Maplewood, Superior, Wisconsin, and we're opening up one in Tampa this week.
In where?
Tampa, Florida.
Okay, I was going to say I was thinking Tampa, Minnesota. I'm not sure. I'm familiar with that town because I've been to an awful lot of the wonderful smaller towns and throughout our wonderful state. What are the kinds of things that you sell at your stores around the state?
Everything from bath bombs to, our most popular products are tinctures. Tinctures are basically a dropper, and you put the oil underneath your tongue for 60 to 90 seconds. There's another option. You can do it as a water soluble as well. Then we sell capsules. We sell a very limited amount of edibles. We do have some gummy bears as well.
And you can't get high on this.
You cannot get high on CBD, at least, hemp CBD that we have in our stores. What the rule is that as long as you have it underneath 0.3%, we can legally carry it. Anything over that would then be considered marijuana by law. And so any of those products, it would be very difficult to get high off of it. I can't imagine how many bottles you'd have to take to feel something at 0.3%.
All right. Listen, we have to take a quick break. We're going to have more with Stephen Brown, the president of the Minnesota Hemp Association. He owns a number of hemp stores here in the Twin Cities, in the state of Minnesota. I have a lot more questions about exactly the kinds of products he has and how they differ in terms of their being able to help people with problems like migraines. How does that differ from something you might find if you were prescribed medical marijuana? So keep it here. The conversation continues on News Talk 830. It is 7:20 in the evening here. We are chatting with Stephen Brown, who is the president of the Minnesota Hemp Association. He owns a number of hemp stores in the Twin Cities and in Minnesota. Stephen, our producer, Susan Blanche, and I were having a discussion in the break about CBDs and the low percentage of CBD that's in hemp. I think you said 0.3%, or is it 3%?
0.3%.
0.3%. All right. And marijuana has a higher percentage of CBDs.
No, marijuana has a higher percentage of THC.
THC. Does marijuana have CBDs in it?
Yes, marijuana can have CBD in it, but typically, if there's high amounts of CBD inside a marijuana plant, the THC content will typically be really low. So instead of getting the high yields of 20%, or 15%, you might be getting around 8%.
What if you have a hemp plant that has a higher percentage than 0.3?
Then what the DEA does, they actually burn down the entire field. So for the farmer, it's not the best thing in the world. So, all the licensed farmers that are out here in Minnesota, there's testing that goes on to make sure, how much THC is going to be in that plant. And if it's what we call in this industry hot, then they actually have to burn down those plants. And that's how it works in most of the other states that grow hemp CBD.
But isn't CBD the thing that helps people?
It is. CBD is what helps people. And so for us to legally be able to sell CBD, we need to make sure that it's from the hemp plant and not the marijuana plant.
Okay, but is there any effort to try and legalize the CBDs, the higher percentage of CBDs that could be in hemp plants?
Oh, no, that is legal on the hemp side, just not on the marijuana side.
Okay, so you could have like 0.5% or...
Yep, correct. So we won't be able to carry anything that's marijuana related, but we can carry anything that is hemp related. So it's a different plant.
It's a different plant, but obviously they're related.
They are related, yes. So okay. they look the same. We even carry something called CBD flower. It looks like marijuana, smells like marijuana, tastes like marijuana, but it makes your body feel a little bit different. A lot of people use it for pain relief. It still has the skunky smell that marijuana would, but it's not going to get you head high.
All right, so it's the THC there. It's a little confusing for people who are not up on this to try and sort of figure out what the differences are and where the line is.
Yep. No, I could see that, and that's a very popular. That's probably the most common question that customers ask. Can I get high off this? And is this from marijuana? And how do we know that it's not from marijuana? So what we do is that every supplier that we work with, they're one licensed, and number two, we also make sure that they get third-party lab results. So the third-party lab results that we look at, we make sure that the labs are certified and that they're ISO certified, IEC certified, and also licensed by that given state. And what they do is they produce something called a COA, and we're able to look at the lab results and see the amount of THC, where it was sourced from, if there was any pesticides used, to determine if that's a product that we're going to carry. And so for consumers, when they're about to make a purchase of CBD products, it's important they look at those lab reports, look at the batch number, and make sure that it's truly hemp and not, you're not buying something that's illegal.
Right. Let me ask you this. When it comes to medical marijuana, is it the CBD in marijuana that is helping people, or is it the THC? Or is it both?
There's all sorts of different products that you can get from a dispensary. For example, if you're a cancer patient, one of the recommendations that I saw working actually in the cannabis industry was, RSO oil, which is the Rick Simpson oil. And that is a high amounts of THC, high amounts of CBD. And they have different formulas, like a 1-in-1, so 50% CBD, 50% THC. And sometimes they have a 4-in-1 where, there's more THC and less CBD in it. So depending on the issue that client might have, will determine the type of product that they'll take.
How much? I mean, it sounds like your business is growing, and the name of your store again is
Nothing But Hemp. Nothing But Hemp.
It sounds like your business is definitely growing. How much interest is there in hemp merchandise these days?
Oh, I mean, it's amazing how many people are coming in and they're willing to try something that is different, that is not a pharmaceutical drug.
And what are you finding? I mean, what is the thing? Is there any one product you have that you're getting the most positive feedback on?
Yeah, so there's two brands that I would say that are our number one the top products, and that would be Siskiyou Sungrown. They're out of Oregon.
And say that name again.
Siskiyou.
Siskiyou
Sungrown. Yep, it's the Siskiyou Mountains out in Oregon, and so it's a pretty small farm. They're completely organic. They use bees for the pollination of all of their hemp plants. They have scientists on board, It's just a phenomenal farm, and they're completely vertical. They do their own extraction, and their bottling. They do everything in-house, and it's just a great operation. And when people take their products, they always come back for more. It's amazing.
And what are some of their products? What do their products help you with?
Our number one product by them would be it's a tincture. It's a 500 milligrams. You put it underneath your tongue for 60 to 90 seconds. A lot of people use it for pain relief, anxiety is kind of the top ones there. Then the other one is Charlotte's Web. The reason why CBD is where it is today is because of Charlotte's Web. Charlotte was a girl who had about 300 seizures per day. Mom and dad were looking on the internet of something to solve that problem, and they came across CBD. And so the mother purchased big bags of actually marijuana that was high amounts of CBD from a cultivator in Colorado, and then they did their own extraction, and they gave it to their daughter, and it worked. And she went from having 300 seizures per day to having 1 seizure per day to now I believe she's only having 1 a month.
Wow!
So it was a big story on CNN, and it's just amazing. And so that brand is probably they were first to market, and they specialize in having products for people with anxiety issues and seizures, and it's just a phenomenal top end product.
Right. So do people walk in and say, "Hey, I'm suffering from anxiety. Can you recommend a tincture?" And you pop one out?
So people come in and they'll say, "Hey, I have anxiety," and then I show them products that other people are taking for similar issues. We're not doctors, so we can't prescribe or really recommend, even when it comes down to dose, the amount of dosage that they would take. What we do recommend to them is to consult with their doctor on the doses that they might take for that particular issue that they're having, or to look online at European studies, because they've been studying this for a long period of time. So,
I think we just lost Stephen Brown. It's a fascinating conversation. I mean, it really is something that I think a lot of people are curious about. You see these products, and they appear to be working, and somebody like Stephen Brown has a booming business called Nothing But Hemp. It makes you kind of want to maybe try one of the products and see if it helps. I mean, who doesn't feel anxious, or who doesn't sort of feel pain, for some sort of reason? And obviously, if it can help with a migraine or anxiety, and it's legal, why not? All right. Well, listen, I'm not sure what happened there, but Stephen Brown, thank you so much for joining us.
Appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. Sorry, we lost you there for a bit, but really appreciate it. We're going to have to continue this conversation because it is fascinating, and I'm definitely going to come and check out one of your stores, Nothing But Hemp.
Looking forward to it. Have a great day. Thank you very much.
Okay, absolutely. Take care.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. I mean, it really, really interesting to hear about what this can do, and makes you think, why not try it? If it's legal and it works for some people, maybe it'll work for you. I mean, who doesn't feel anxious?